We give thanks for the harvest. We give thanks for abundance. We give thanks for the blessings in our lives through the year. We give thanks for the harvest. We give thanks for abundance. We give thanks for the blessings in our lives through the year. We give thanks for the harvest. We give thanks for abundance. We give thanks for the blessings in our lives through the year. Well, here in the USA, it is what's known as American Thanksgiving Eve. And today, I am giving thanks to all of you, regardless of whether you're in the USA or not, for joining this Thanksgiving Eve pop-up live stream. The chant that I just shared, I wrote to celebrate fall equinox and harvest in a number of different places across the Americas. Harvest rituals have been very important. And up here in North America, those harvest rituals may be happening in September, in October, and some people are still doing harvest in November. There's an old English tradition called Harvest Home, and that happens in the fall. Sometimes it's connected with the harvest moon, and it is a time for bringing the harvest in and giving thanks. Our American Thanksgiving it's a real combination of some old folk traditions originating in old Europe, so Harvest Home being one of them, but it also converges with traditions across a variety of different cultures, where the tradition of having a big feast and giving thanks is very universal. Thanksgiving in America can be somewhat complicated depending on where you live and what your ethnicity is and what version of history you embrace. There was a big push in the 1800s to say the first Thanksgiving in America was in Plymouth, Massachusetts. But I'm a native Virginian, and I can tell you, my English ancestors who settled Virginia back in the 1600s, according to some traditions, well, Virginia had a Thanksgiving embracing the Harvest Home underpinnings of Old England, actually at the Berkeley Plantation outside of Jamestown in Tidewater, Virginia. I'm not here to have a big debate over when the first English-speaking Thanksgiving was, but just to share with you that there is a variety of different versions depending on where you grew up and what history you were given. And according to family tradition, on my mother's father's side, I have Native American ancestry, and I can tell from my years of traveling around and going to powwows by a variety of Native American tribes and nations that long before Europeans ever showed up in North America, there were harvest Thanksgiving events. So I want to, expand the notion of what Thanksgiving time is and Thanksgiving feasting time is. I know amongst some Native American peoples, Thanksgiving is actually a hard time because while we have the story from colonial Massachusetts of the European settlers and the local native peoples, the Wampanoag was the name of the tribe, and there are Wampanoag people to this day because I've had contact, and part of my understanding of traditions come from that tribal nation. So there was a positive encounter, according to historical records, of native people and the European settlers having a grand feast together. And so I think we need to celebrate when there was good relations. However, that kind of collaboration didn't last very long. So for some people, having that image of pilgrims and Indians being happy together is sometimes difficult to deal with because the larger story of what's happened with indigenous peoples in the Americas has been horrific in so many different ways. But that's a whole nother process, and why I'm here on this Thanksgiving Eve is not only to expand history understanding with some of my own experiences and encounters and talking with various people, but to give you a preview of a special podcast I'm doing tonight on nature spirituality. So every Wednesday night, I do a podcast on CSNP, Circle Sanctuary Network podcast. And I typically on Wednesday nights do brand new workshops and have them simultaneously done through internet radio and through this Selena Fox Updates Facebook page. And so hopefully the internet connectivity will cooperate tonight and make it possible for me to also live stream to this Facebook page. So those of you who want to have visual as well as audio can join me then. It's at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific. So tonight, we're going to take a look at Thanksgiving rituals and a whole lot of different rituals having to do with Thanksgiving. I have some examples right here next to me, some Thanksgiving cards that I recently received from good friends. And one powerful way of giving thanks to loved ones is to reach out and thank them. You can send an email, put a post on social media, send a card, call on the phone, do a video chat. There's lots of different ways of being able to express thanks to loved ones in our lives. And I do see that as an important thing to do, not only to nurture and evolve our relationships with each other, but as a way of keeping us connected on multiple levels. Sometimes life can get really busy and we don't always pause to reflect on what's working. Sometimes what gets our attention is what needs to be different and better. So at Thanksgiving time, we can tap into the concept of giving thanks and giving thanks in a variety of ways. And I'll be sharing with you a variety of different rituals. Giving thanks when you harvest from the garden, giving thanks as part of spiritual practice, giving thanks to loved ones in your lives, giving thanks with chanting, meditation, gratitude, attitude development. Some people have what's called a gratitude jar, and write down something that they are thankful for every day, or some people do 3 things they're thankful for every day and put it in the jar. Or what I have often done in using that approach is actually have a gratitude cauldron. And there are ways of giving thanks using ceremonial offerings, pouring juice, water, herbal tea onto the land to give thanks for the bounty of the land, taking some dried herbs or fresh flowers or some other offerings and placing them at the corner of the field, in the middle of a field, or near a big tree near your home as a way of giving thanks to the divine for the bounty of nature. So I'll be sharing some more information about that tonight, as well as some ways that you can give thanks. I also wanted to let you know that full moon is coming up. On Monday night, I'll be doing a full moon circle online with the Circle Sanctuary community, some of our members. And we have a different theme every month. And this month, the theme, the focus is sacred feathers. And I will be sharing some feather lore. We'll be calling to the moon and celebrating the full moon. And we'll be sharing some ways of working with feathers in sacred ways. Well, this is a wild turkey feather. And as far as I know, it's still okay for folks to find these feathers and pick them up and use them ceremonially. Not all feathers that you find in the wild, though, should you be having in your possession. Unfortunately, years ago, even unto the present day, not everybody is paying good attention to the importance of preserving wildlife. And for that reason, there are some restrictions about what kind of feathers you can have. But one of the great things about wild turkey feathers, they're big, they endure, and they are really great for smudging. So if you like burning some incense, yes, you can wave the stick around, but you can also use a feather, and that actually helps get the smoke dispersed even more. So I love feathers, and I enjoy birds and winged forms of divinity. And I'll be sharing some of that lore and experiences, as well as some others in our community. So if you want to tune in, our present plan is to live stream it to the Circle Sanctuary YouTube channel. And if you haven't already found us on YouTube, go over to the Circle Sanctuary YouTube channel and follow us, subscribe, then you'll get information when we pop up live. And one of the things that I enjoy doing as I walk in the woods is reflecting on the beauty of nature. Now, this is whenever I'm taking these walks, and I do walk in the woods. I live in the woods, so when I take my exercise, I'm out walking on one of our trails. So regardless of the time of year, I do endeavor to get some good exercise and to really experience myself as part of that larger fabric of nature where I dwell. And feathers such as this do from time to time pop up in my path. And when that happens, I usually pick them up and not only give thanks to whatever the bird was that shed it. It's usually wild turkeys because we have a lot of them around here. But I pause and I reflect on what I've been thinking about as I have walked by and encountered this. And I give thanks. And I do think the concept of giving thanks and Thanksgiving is something that we can celebrate on a particular day, but it really should be something as part of our lives. So I give thanks to all of you who are tuning in. And if you haven't already let me know where you're watching from, I invite you to do that. And I'd like to conclude with a Thanksgiving expression. For family and friends, we give thanks. For the land we walk, we give thanks. For the air we breathe, we give thanks. For the sun that shines, we give thanks. For the water that nourishes, we give thanks. For the planet that is our home, we give thanks. For the divine that is in and around, we give thanks. For our life, we give thanks. For Great Spirit, we give thanks. For community, we give thanks. And to all of you watching live or later, I give thanks. Happy Thanksgiving wherever you may be, and be safe, be well. So be it.